I refuse to live in a world where Garrett's glow up is the number 4 most iconic moment of Love is Blind history. Welcome back to the Miscellaneous channel where we do miscellaneous things. I'm Zeleny. I typically cover TV, pop culture, internet trends, and other miscellaneous things on this channel, so subscribe if that's your vibe. So today I am rewriting history, if you will. I wanted to take a stab at my own top 10 most iconic moments in Love is Blind history. The series and the franchise just celebrated their 5-year anniversary this past February, and at the reunion of the latest season, they revealed, the audience voted, top 5 most iconic moments of Love is Blind history. The list was very questionable, and a lot of the fans were confused as to who voted for this, if it was a rigged election. We don't know, but as someone who has been recapping Love is Blind since season 1, I wanted to try to make a more holistic list, and I expanded it to top 10 because on the reunion they showed the top 5, but they actually polled people for the top 15 most iconic moments, and I'll link that below. They released the official list, and again, there's some random ones in there that I didn't even consider for my list. The stuff about Amy and Johnny forgetting about condoms, they put that in the top 15, and I was like, okay, like that was a thing, but does anyone remember that as like a big moment that defined the season? I don't think so. So I don't mean to undermine democracy in any way. If I had a huge subscriber count, I would probably put out a poll and do the whole scientific method on y'all, so that I could get like a democratic answer from fans like y'all. But I know if I put out a poll, like 30 people might see it and vote. So I just went with my own opinions. I think we're all gonna have our own placements of these moments, our own criteria of what we remember. As usual, I'm sure y'all will let me know in the comments, and we'll have more of a discussion around what are the top moments of Love is Blind history. And there's kind of tea about this because apparently Natalie and Deepti, in their latest podcast episodes, they have a podcast called Out of the Pods, and they talked about how they kind of have cut ties with Kinetic Content, the production company of Love is Blind, and that a lot of people from earlier seasons have cut ties with Kinetic, and that's why the production company doesn't like to spotlight people from like seasons 1 through 3. And also season 5, a lot of those seasons have ongoing litigation, lawsuits. There was a lot of mistreatment by production of the cast. It kind of feels like production doesn't want to acknowledge they exist, even though those seasons have a lot of iconic moments. Most of the chosen top moments were from like season 4, season 6, and season 7. The top 5 alone had like 3 from season 6. And there were a lot of iconic moments in season 6, and I added them in my list too, but they were a little higher up than I would have put them compared to some of the earlier seasons. Also, when I attended the Love is Blind South by Southwest promotional event where they brought in a lot of the cast to do photo ops with fans and stuff, I could see that bias. Like almost everyone was from season 6, 7, and 8, and then season 4. And I saw pretty much maybe 1 or 2 people from any season outside of that. Like I think Janina, and I saw the guy with the cowboy guy from season 3 with Brennan. It's clear which seasons are in good favor with Kinetic and the Love is Blind franchise and Netflix. So let me get into my top 10. I kind of went with vibes, and my criteria kind of shifts because for some of these, it's more about like this moment was iconic. And for a couple of them, it's more like this journey was iconic. I feel like I could make a whole separate top 10 of like the top 10 arcs of Love is Blind, whether it was a hero's journey, like a very big hero couple, or like a villain arc. Like, I feel like that's its own list, but I still had to sprinkle in a couple of like big moments that were tied to like a journey. It'll make sense once we get there. So starting at number 10, I put Leo and Brittany's awkward reveal. So this was season 7, the art dealer, pretentious rich guy, and the sugar baby girl that wanted a sugar daddy. Their reveal was just so awkward. It was just so talked about, and there was so much mystery around it. To this day, this couple confuses me so much because Netflix did not ask them to go on the honeymoon, even though they were willing to. They had this super awkward reveal, and he was all handsy with her, and she was super uncomfortable. She clearly didn't enjoy what she was looking at. Then there's just text at the end of their reveal that says they were not chosen to go on the honeymoon, even though they had showed us their whole journey. And people were all up in the conspiracies saying, you know, she was so uncomfortable, it was actually her that opted out and Netflix is just protecting her. I was not buying the conspiracies, honestly, and everyone has come out and said, no, Netflix didn't choose them because they weren't a strong couple. People just struggle to believe that. I do believe it. They went on their own honeymoon anyway, so if she didn't want to go on a honeymoon with him, she obviously was fine to do that because they did it anyway. But it's so weird because Netflix sold a bunch of merch around this couple, like merch that said like art dealer and stuff like that, and that's where I got confused. Like, why are you selling merch of a couple you didn't even choose to go on your honeymoon, like, or continue on your show? So that's super weird, but I think it's a iconic moment, and I mean, they made a big impact on the season without moving past the pods. So I'll give Leo and Brittany that, and I think this is the only season 7 moment that I put on the list. So next at number 9, and this is going to be controversial because it is one of these journeys. At number 9, I put Lauren and Cameron Hamilton's wedding when they say yes. If I was doing the top 10 journeys or arcs of Love is Blind, this would be at number 1. Because the Lauren and Cameron journey is the foundation for this entire program. Like, if it weren't for them, they would have no legs to stand on. And there was another, of course, the Barnetts, they were successful too, but something about Lauren and Cameron, they were our first hero couple. We didn't know at the time, like, are they gonna say yes? So that's why I put their wedding. Netflix put their reveal at the top of the list, like in the top 5. And I understand people that think this should be number 1. But for me, their wedding or the reveal for Lauren and Cameron isn't like a moment that like I can picture the frame in my head exactly. And most of these moments, like, I can picture exactly, like, you know, the freeze frame, the pause, where you pause it and you're like, you know what this is. So for Lauren and Cameron, it was more of the whole journey, and that's why it ended up lower on like this moment-centric list. But I still thought it was very important, and their wedding was this very iconic moment where we learned that the experiment could work. It kind of set up the show for success. So controversial placement. It could be number 1. I thought about putting it number 1, but because it's more of a journey, that'll be number 1 on that list. Honestly, the Lauren and Cameron moment that sticks out to me the most and might be like the moment for this placement is when Cameron did his cringy rap with like Lauren's dad or mom or someone, family member was there. So if we need a Lauren and Cameron moment for the iconic moments list, it might be the cringy rapping.
I'm so high up that I feel like I can fly. So we throw our hands up. No concern for those lames that desert us.
Number 8, I have the cuties incident with Cole and Zainab. I don't like talking about this couple much because they make me uncomfortable. They were just really messy in like a not fun way. But I have to say, this expose at the end of the reunion was a huge moment that was very gaggy, and everyone was talking about it, who was right, who was wrong. So at the reunion, Zainab accused Cole of like policing her food intake. And obviously everyone at the reunion was like, how dare you, Cole? You're the worst. How could you do that to a woman? He was like our first depressed man at the reunion, just like taking the punches, which I feel like subsequently we've had every reunion. But then the editors decided to put in the scene that they were talking about, because there had been a scene that wasn't shown. So they showed the scene of him policing her eating an orange, a cutie, like a little orange. And it turns out that wasn't the tone. He wasn't policing her food intake. They were just about to go eat and was like, are you going to spoil our appetite? Like, it was a very like inconsequential comment that she took. She was very insecure, and that was like her, arc on the show. And so it was pretty clear that she was making it a bigger deal than it was. But it was weird because they showed this scene after the reunion, so like no one on the show could comment. It was just like an extra thing for the audience. So it like redeemed Cole to the audience, and I think the Cuties deserves a spot on the list. I think a lot of y'all might put it higher, but I put it at number 8. Okay, next is number 7, and this is one that was shown on the top 5 at the season 8 reunion, but it is when Chelsea told Jimmy she gets told she looks like Megan Fox. And this is one where I picture the frame in my head. It's what they showed at the reunion. Him with the finger like up his nose. It feels like it's the sealing of the deal of this relationship because he gets very excited about it. And I just think this is an iconic moment because it made so much conversation online. Does she look like her? Does she not? It kind of became this like catchy thing about the season that everyone was talking about. And I see it. I think she does look like her, and I believe people will tell her that all the time. And she was very like, it wasn't like, I look like Megan Fox. She was like, people tell me, and it's just because of this, and like, I don't see it necessarily. Like, she was very sure to explain the context, but Jimmy just heard Megan Fox and was like, sign me up. Number 6 is another season 6 moment that was also in the top 5, and this was the Laura and Jeremy. And again, I can picture it exactly. Jeremy with the aviators and Laura like with her ponytail, blonde, questioning him about the bar and like where he was at last night, and that she saw his iPhone and it was at Sarah Ann's house. And it was just one of these iconic Love is Blind couple fights that ends a couple. This is another one that's honestly Jeremy's full villain arc, I think would make it in the top of my most iconic journeys and arcs. I want to like rope in the jet skis to this because I don't want to make the jet skis its own other moment, but because it's so related to this moment. But the jet skis and this fight were just so iconic, and he just like turned into a villain. Number 5, I have Zach and Bliss get engaged in the real world late. So it's kind of like, this is another journey one. It's like Zach breaking up with Irina, meeting Bliss in real life, regretting everything, and then Bliss accepting a proposal. I put the moment, like the iconic moment here, as Bliss accepting the proposal. I can picture it in my head. They're like on a boat. I was so gagged by her accepting it. Like, this was the first time we had this situation where someone regretted their decision in the pods and sought out someone else from the pods, and they went for a second chance, and it happened to work out amazingly. So it created kind of a new blueprint of journey that a couple could make. And in Love is Blind UK, there was a similar storyline that worked out. It is now kind of an option, it feels like, for the contestants. It's not ideal, but and we've seen a lot where they're not willing to give the second chance, which is fine. But yeah, I think the Zach and Bliss journey is huge, but the most gaggy moment for me, don't take a drink every time I say gaggy in this video, please. The most gaggy moment that it comes down to is Bliss accepting that proposal, because I was shocked. I didn't think she would. This is my number 5 incident. At number 4, I have when Jessica tells Jimmy when he sees her in person, he is going to choke. He is going to need an EpiPen. This was actually number 1 officially at the reunion, and Jess gave a whole acceptance speech about it. It was very goofy. I definitely don't think it's number 1, but it's up there for me. It's at number 4. I was gagged by this, truly. Just the gall and the gumption she had to call him out and like know how hot she is. I thought it was hilarious. It was a great reality TV moment. So now we're getting into the top 3. For me, number 3 is absolutely Andrew pulling out teardrops in the middle of an interview to fake cry in his confessional talking head, doing the eye drops on camera in front of producers and assuming they're not gonna put it in. That was just so hilarious, like as a reality TV moment, a peek behind the curtain kind of moment. The audacity Andrew had to just fake cry, and like, did he really think production was on his side to like just leave in the crying part, not the eye drops part? It's such a bizarre moment, and it's so funny because Andrew is very inconsequential in the grand scheme of Love is Blind and its universe, but this to me is an iconic moment in reality TV, honestly. It's huge. I was so gagged when I saw that. I'm so confused. I think this is season 3, right? I barely even know what season he is. I think he's on season 3, which was a very not iconic season, honestly, but that was the most wild thing. And this one, again, I can picture the frame, like, of him putting in the eye drops. It was just, like, ingrained in my memory forever. Okay, and now number 2, my top number 2 most iconic moment in Love is Blind history is Deepti saying, "I choose me" at the altar in the face of Shake, who had degraded her all season. It was just very much like a modern storybook ending for this couple. I love when reality TV kind of like the storyline shakes out to be like better than fiction or as good as fiction. It's like exactly how you would want it to end for this couple. Like the script was there. There's a lot of producing that goes into that, but there's also like an element of reality that has to align with what production wants and what the storyline should be. And I just think this is a journey and a finale moment where all the pieces just came together perfectly to make this like moment of like female empowerment and her saying fuck you to the villain of the season, one of the most villainous contestants we've had on the show, but in a very graceful way, not in a literal fuck you way, but in a I choose me and all I need is me and independence. So it kind of made Deepti very iconic, and this moment was huge, and I'm just like so annoyed it wasn't like anywhere in the top list. Let me see, was it even in the original? So they had this moment at number 11 of the official list, but to me it's number 2. Like it's up there. It might be number 1 for some people. It was super iconic. Okay, and number 1, ready, drum roll. Jessica's dog drinking out of the wine glass. This might seem like a silly number 1 choice, but it just was such a moment that was so ridiculous. And it was in the first season. Everyone was, in pandemic mode watching this ridiculous new show and premise. and taking it all in. And it was just like kind of the first viral moment of Love is Blind. And I just think the seniority of it gives it, to me, it's the number one most iconic moment. They had in the official ranking this at number 14 out of 15, but I think it's number one. Like, I just think everyone was talking about it. It was just so funny. I can see it in my head, like the frame exactly of the dog drinking. And Jessica in general, to me, she's like an iconic figure of Love is Blind. Like her with the wine glass, like in the pods, I think like that frame was used with the promotion of season 1 a lot. So like her, like I feel like she should occupy the top moment by proxy of her dog, but something with her in it, because it was just her voice and her personality, and she was just like very interesting as a Love is Blind contestant, and kind of like the first Love is Blind person that had the internet and social media just like talking about the show. And just the dog thing is just so funny. Like, it's just so funny. It's so memorable. Who does that? Is that even safe? Can dogs drink wine? I don't know. But this Jessica deserves the number 1 spot over season 6 Jessica, who's fine. She's in the number 4 spot. She's still up there, but this Jessica to me is just like an iconic symbol of the show. And her dog drinking out of the wine, it just kind of like told us what kind of show we're getting into. So I am currently editing this video, and I have an addendum because I am appalled and disappointed in myself that I missed a crucial Love is Blind moment. So I'm gonna add a additional iconic moment. This is going to be moment 2.5 because I feel like that's where it belongs. And this is my channel, and I can have decimal point iconic moments in my ranking. I want to add Janina in season 1 running away in her wedding dress, getting it all muddy. That is very much ingrained in my memory, and in this list, I would put it between my number 2 and number 3 spot. I apologize that I was gaslit by Netflix and their rejection of earlier seasons, but I believe this is one of the most iconic moments and deserves a spot on the list. This is my truth. So I'm sure you'll have very different order, a very different order of these rankings, or have your own iconic moments. I would love to hear what are like your top 5 or your top 1 or 2 or 3, even like niche ones. Like, there are some moments that I remember very vividly that are so, they're just random throwaway moments. Like, always remember Irina calling Zach a cartoon character. Like, that shit was so funny to me. Their reveal was so funny to me. I just don't think in the grand scheme it's like that much of an impactful moment, but like to me, I always think about the cartoon thing because it's such a specific thing, and I get it. Like, sometimes people look like cartoons, so like that description resonated with me. I didn't think Zach looked like a cartoon, to be fair, but some people do, and I think it's a compliment, but I don't go around telling people because they might not take it as a compliment. Yeah, the original top 5 list was whack. Let me look at the top 15 and see if there's honorable mentions, because there were some moments in the top 15 that was like I considered for my top 10, but they ended in the cutting room floor. So let's do some honorable mentions, actually. One honorable mention was Uche and Lydia revealing to everyone that they knew each other from before the pods. I considered putting it in a iconic moments, but that season was just so messy. I mean, season 5 remains the worst season ever made, and it had really dangerous stuff with production and stuff too. So I didn't think this season deserved any placements in the top 10, but the Uche and Lydia reveal was kind of the most interesting thing, aside from the paper plates thing too. I guess that was another. Those are the 2 main things from that season that I would say are in the running for iconic moments. But the Uche and Lydia reveal was so messy to the point where like I was confused. Like, it was not very well produced. for me to understand what was happening. And so that's why I left it out of the top 10 list. I already mentioned this, but Amy and Johnny forgetting condoms exist was in the top. It was the number 10. So it's in the top 10 of their official list. And to me, that was not iconic or memorable. Like, I think it was an important journey and conversation around birth control, and that was cool, but it wasn't like a big moment that I was like thinking about when I look back on that season. So Amy and Johnny, sorry to them, they don't occupy any spaces in my tops, even though they're one of my favorite couples. I heavily considered putting a Hannah and Nick moment in my top 10. I honestly, if I was making a 15, it would be probably 11 or 12. But I think the duck thing should be kind of up there. Him riding the duck and giving her the ick. On the official list, they don't have the duck thing at all for them. They have when she said she turned him from a boy into a man, which is also like, it's kind of a toss-up. I think the duck thing is more iconic just because I can visualize it really well. But the boy to a man thing. So like, they had a couple moments that could be in the running, but ultimately I left them off the list. Oh, another one on the cutting room floor is Tiffany falling asleep on Brett in the pods. I think that is like an iconic moment, but I don't think it's top 10 worthy. It would be maybe my number 15 if I was doing a top 15. That's a cute one. I just think it's a bit small. And they're a really good couple too, but it's hard. Like a lot of the best couples, like even Lauren and Cameron, didn't provide crazy gag-worthy moments necessarily. So it's just kind of like, I like them a lot as a couple. I love Tiffany and Brett. I love Amy and Johnny, but a lot of the hero couples can be a little boring in their journeys, or like they have stuff going on, but it's just not like the thing everyone's talking about. And yeah, I think that was everything that was left out. And then of course, Garrett's glow up, which is nowhere in my top 50 most iconic moments of Love is Blind. Not my top 100 moments of Love is Blind. I couldn't believe that. I was so mad, and that's why I made this video. Good for them. Love his glow up and all. It just was not an impactful moment in Love is Blind history. That's all we're saying. We're not shading his fashion. That's my top 10 list. I would love to hear yours. There's been just so many moments. Like, I could make an argument for a lot of them. Let me know if you have ideas for other videos, like topics in pop culture that are interesting right now, in pop music, in TV, reality TV shows you're really loving right now that we're going into the off season of Love is Blind. Maybe I'll play the Love is Blind new mobile game on stream just for a little something extra. And I know some people enjoyed the original one. I fell off the Ultimatum mobile game. I'm so sorry. It was rough. It's just like, it's too much. I have to manage like an existing relationship and then new relationship. It was just too much. But the Love is Blind mobile game was a little more, I don't know, maybe a little more structure to the format that isn't as like convoluted as Ultimatum. So we'll see. Please like this video and subscribe to my channel if you enjoyed. I put out new videos whenever I feel like it about TV, pop culture, internet trends, and other miscellaneous things. And you can follow me at Miscellaneous to keep up with me, or just turn on the bell notification here on YouTube. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye!